And we welcome you to another episode of Open Court here on NBA TV. And I know there have been a lot of open courts. This may be one of the greatest of all time. And I just say that because the panelists get to pick the topics in this episode. Isaiah Thomas is one of those panelists. Always wonderful to see you, Z.
Great to see you also.
3D, Dennis Scott has plenty of ideas, and I know that his topic on AAU is going to be something you guys can sink your teeth into. Steve Smith is here, and I believe Smitty is still the only person to appear on every edition of Open Court. That's right.
I think so.
I think the streak is intact.
Yeah.
Wait, every show, but I think last time I missed one.
Not only that, but the Smitty is the kind of tea that a lot of us drink during the shows. I don't know what you put in that bad boy, but it's...
You might have a hangover.
You got to move and this may be the only show that Smitty's not sitting here.
And I think there's actually some tea in it, but I'm not sure. Grant Hill joins us once again for this edition of Open Court, and to his right is Chris Webber. So let's dive in, guys, and because I'm hosting the show, apparently I get to pick the first category, and here's mine. It's called Crossing Paths, and it could really have a couple of different, it could be crossing paths or on the radar. When you first had a chance to interact with somebody else on the panel, or you first heard about their game and then finally got to see them. Just as an example, I remember the first time I met Dennis Scott. He was still a high school kid, and I was working at the ABC affiliate in Atlanta, WSB. I'm the weekend sports anchor, and they had a midweek press conference called by Bobby Crimmins. We're going to announce this great signing we've got, and here is Dennis Scott down here, and I saw this kid. Wow, so this is this remarkable three-point shooter that everybody, and you remember that? I mean,
Yes, I do.
Mean, you signed and you came down, had a big press conference and everything.
Yeah, I remember we were teasing you where you had hair, I had hair, and all that. We had fun now. Neither one of us has hair now. So, but to your question, topic, Ernie, this gentleman right here, I remember coming back from the Final Four, guys, I was thinking about, should I leave school, should I stay? And John Sally invited me, y'all were going to win your second championship. And I remember being in the locker room, and Isaiah's getting ready, and Vinny's getting ready, and John's on the cell phone. I'm like, man, there's a lot of chaos going on here. Bill's over there doing his thing. I said, this is the NBA. I think I'm going to stay in school. And then when the game started and the way the togetherness came, that's when I realized that when you're in the locker room and guys go home, you don't have to be on the same page. Because one guy may be in the reading, one guy may be in the operas, one guy may be in the music, or whatever it may be. But once you come on the floor, you're together, you're a unit. And that's what I learned from Isaiah. And I got back home, I said, Ma, I'm leaving. I'm going to the NBA. I see it with my own eyes now. There's no more dreaming. I see how it works. So crossing paths with Isaiah and that Piston team, that's one of the reasons why I left school early.
Were you starstruck at all that day?
No question about it. I mean, because all of us sitting here, we all dreamed about going to the NBA, right? Go to college and all that. But until you actually see it and touch it and feel it and see the media all around him, after the game, Bill's like, Dennis Rodman sitting there, a quiet Dennis Rodman. This is before the tattoos, before the hair, changing the colors. Dennis Rodman was a quiet guy. I'm like, Joe Dumars, quiet. But once they came on that floor, that's when you realize this is where grown men play the game and play together. And I said, yeah, I think I want a piece of this.
Where were you the first time you saw Zeke?
I met Isaiah at Orchard Lake Camp. He was doing these dribble drills, and he picked guys out the crowd, and I wasn't one of the guys he picked. And then I went to a free camp at the Pistons facility with our church. So we had to sit way up at the top. But before we got to the game, we got to have a Q&A with the Pistons. And I remember Isaiah standing there, and he kept scratching. And I'm like, what's wrong with him? And I remember him saying, well, I'm allergic to concrete. And I remember my brother raising his hand saying, how much money do you make? My brother's like 6 years old, and so it was always like a piece of seeing Isaiah. And then when I got in high school and before, made some decisions, he was there for me. And to be able to talk and all those, so it was from a fan to seeing how he and his mother relayed. He would always say, hi, Mom. I said, hi, Mom, after every game because my mother loved Isaiah because he loved his mom. And it was just that type of relationship. So forever I've followed him.
You've been sitting here just listening to all this. What are your recollections of this, and why do you give this guy a piece of your time? And are you really allergic to concrete?
I never knew I was allergic because we couldn't afford doctors or whatever. Until I got to the NBA and they give you the physical and everything, and then they say, well, you know, you're allergic to A, B, C, D, and E. And I said, oh, I didn't know what it was. I just thought like I would just start coughing.
Okay. Well, back to the point.
But anyway,
these kids looking up to you and you giving advice.
So it was always taught to me that you have to be a servant to the community. You have to be a servant to everyone that you meet. You give of yourself, you give of your time, you pass on knowledge. And my job when I got to the NBA was not to necessarily be this great NBA player, but my job was to go out and be a pillar and a servant in the community. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to go to people's homes. I would give food away. I would knock on people's doors.
He's being
at night.
modest, EJ. He came to my block in a Toyota 4Runner. Yes. Everybody on my neighborhood came out, but they were really respectful. So as he walked into my house, everybody started clapping. When we came out my house, because my father gave everybody a look like, don't come over here and mess with Isaiah. Everybody was like behind the trees and stuff. And then Isaiah was like, and once he smiled, boom, everybody came over. Now, think about how important this is. It's Isaiah and the ice cream truck.
Ooh.
The ice cream truck passed and nobody turned around.
Oh, yeah.
And he stayed there about a half hour. Now, he came over. You know how we are. We got to go. It's a bad neighborhood. Somebody could rob him. Something bad could happen. He takes his time out. But the most important thing we got out, because he didn't talk basketball, the most important thing that we got out of it was that we are important enough for the most important man in Detroit to come sit and talk to us. I'm just as valuable as he is. I'm just as important as he is. I'm just as much of a man as he is. Now let me go act like it. Right. You know, everybody left with their chest up that day.
You know, Ernie, I have the same stories, and Isaiah knows that what Webb is saying is, being from Detroit, there's an east side, there's a west side. Two different sides.
Yeah.
So for me, to hear that Isaiah Thomas was on the east side of Detroit, which is a side that you would figure
A little dicey.
a little dicey. And what Webb is saying is there were different places. At churches, you were here. And I always thought it was a myth, Isaiah. Like, he is coming to speak in the schools, churches. Then my cousins on the west side would say, Isaiah just came to our school. Then I could verify it because back then the news showed positive stuff. Positive stuff. I could see Isaiah Thomas was on the news, and I could verify to my cousin wasn't lying, that Isaiah But just real quick, everybody talked about Chris Webber. So I said, let me go see Chris play. I think you're in the 8th grade. When I left Ernie, I said, there's no way he's in the 8th grade. No way. One, that size, and that's good.
I played against him in the 8th
That's
grade.
what I was going to say.
How big was he, Grant?
He was as big as he is now.
Yes.
But he was just, see, EJ, I don't want to hog him, but just, EJ, you asked when the first time I passed class. I got 30 seconds. I got to come down here in AAU, and I'm going to bring it all the way to Grant. I got to come down here in AAU. My coach took us to go see colleges. Yep. And just so we would see what a college is like, because there's guys on the team that might not make a team and they see colleges. We come down here, it's this silver hair man, and he's a coach, and he's like, I want y'all to look at the best shooters, and you guys are big, but now they're bigger and they have to shoot. He took us in the corner, and we got to talk to Dennis Scott. I'm in 11th grade. Dennis Scott says, hey, y'all think y'all good, right? You kind of big, right? Well, listen, you got to shoot. Y'all ain't nothing. You ain't going to be nothing until you make it to the league. What you got to do? I took that home. Now, you got to remember, I met Isaiah. I took this home. I go to Steve Smith's high school game, Persian, Callahan Hall, my favorite gym. Everybody's up there saying, y'all ain't got no money. They were the doughboys. So they tried to intimidate. They would hold up dollars, D. Scott. Y'all ain't got no money. Y'all ain't got no money. I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't have no money. It's a couple of seconds left. Steve Smith comes down, throws it off the backboard. Now, there's a locker room directly under the goal.
Right.
Throws it off the backboard. He dunks it. walks crazy into the locker room. Where did I get that from? Lastly, this guy, I met him at 12 years old, and I think I'm good. This is when we're good in AAU. Meet him, Jamal Mashburn. I said, oh, Lord, we got to come back with skills. It's not just about being tall. I mean, this guy's doing crossovers and shooting jumpers, and this team, Potomac, they're winning. And so when you talk about crossing paths, I've learned something from all of them, and I got in trouble at his house at 12. Because he kept me out. I went over his house at 12, and he kept me out all night.
Now, let me tell the story, man.
Go ahead, close it out.
And like Chris said, I mean, we got, I grew up with Dennis. I looked up to Dennis when I was growing up, and kind of the same way maybe you guys looked up to each other in Detroit. Obviously, I remember when I got drafted and didn't have any relationship with Isaiah. Isaiah had moved on to Toronto. I get back to my hotel room, and there's a voice message from Isaiah, and just congratulating me going to the Pistons, great organization, anything he can do to help. Now, he's going on now to the Raptors. And I got all my boys there. I'm like, man, this is Isaiah Thomas calling me. And of course, with Webb, we go way back and had battles back when we were young. And Webb came to my house. And we was at my house, and we went to this little house party.
I saw that movie.
Yeah, it was very similar, very similar.
Very similar.
And so we're there, and
This
I
is
think
at 12?
No.
I'm like 14. He driving. I'm 16. He's 14. He older than me.
So we're there, and, we at the house, and then Webb was like, I say, yeah, we got to go, man. I got my Kurt. We got to get back. He's like, I'm going to stay, man. I'm going to get a ride back to your house. I'm like, all right. And I get home, and then I got Brian Reese, who went to North Carolina. He was with me.
That's right.
So we get back. My mom said, where's Chris? I said, he's going to get a ride back. She said, you better get, she said, I'm going to beat you if you don't get back. And I'm like, Mom, he's like 6'10". I can't. If he was saying he want to stay at the party. And so anyway, I get back, we get Webb, and I don't know, my mom, it was
I get in trouble when I get home.
Get in trouble.
That is the crossing paths segment of our
I
show.
crossed paths with Grant and got in trouble.
You're right. That's not the same house party I said. Back with more in just a second.
A cliche, Larry Brown always said we credit Larry Brown, but it's everybody. And I definitely credit Larry Brown for keeping it going. Playing the game the right way. And that's what's lost.
We welcome you back to Open Court, and it's the show in which the panelists select the topics segment by segment. Dennis Scott's up now, and your topic is AAU basketball. Is this a positive or a negative?
Well, for me today, I think it's gone to the negative versus when we were playing AAU. When you looked at the AAU coaches back 70s, 80s, it was normally a ex-police officer or fireman or someone was doing it on the side because they were really trying to help the kids. Where some of the AAU coaches today, I think, are looking for a handout, or they see 2 or 3 kids in their neighborhood and they say, hey, y'all come play with me. And they're not really teaching them structure. So now if my son's 18 years old and he's being recruited, I ask myself, who's more important? Is the AAU coach more important, or is his high school coach? And then during the season, is my son playing harder for my AAU coach or for my high school coach? And then when you watch them play, when they're playing AAU today, they just run up and down, no structure, and then when they get to their high school team, they're not playing well. And then now we see a lot of our guys coming into the NBA today. They can score, they can run up and down, but they can't set a screen. They don't know how to open to the ball the right way, making a simple bounce pass. How many times we sit on the desk and say, if Chris Webber's posting up, they can't get the ball in the post because they don't know how to feed the post. So now when I'm watching this next generation, I love AAU. I think it's a good place. We should still keep it. But I am challenging some of the coaches and some of the directors today saying, hey, if you're going to do this, teach them the right way. So my question for you guys and people at home is that, are you happy with the AAU system today? And if you have a kid, 18 years old, who are you directing him to? And who are you saying, you know what, listen to this coach. He's teaching you the right things. Or listen to this coach. Or are you saying, AAU coach, before you have my son, if you're not showing him structure, you can't have my son. I'll teach him myself. So I'm Smitty.
A lot to pick from there.
Yeah.
So, Smitty, I mean, so you've played AAU ball.
Yes.
You have a son who's playing AAU ball. Well, you have a wealth of knowledge to speak of and a background to speak of. Is AAU a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing. You know, and the reason why I say that, because I think so many people are saying it's negative, because AAU is the reason why a lot of us are sitting here. But I think it's all youth sports. I mean, not only AAU, I played at recreation centers. I played in my elementary school, just like all these guys did. But it was taught the game. And it's a cliche. Larry Brown always said we credit Larry Brown, but it's everybody. And I definitely credit Larry Brown to keeping it going. Playing the game the right way.
Yeah.
And that's what's lost.
Yep.
And it's lost of guys giving back.
So, I
And
mean,
what- and what I wanna
it's a
say
good
is-
thing. It's a good thing overall, but you think there are things that need to be fixed now.
Yes. I mean, I took it for granted. We and Chris talked about it. I wanted to learn how to shoot, so I got on the bus and went to where George Gervin was giving a camp, a free camp. And I asked him how to shoot the basketball. So back then, Ernie, at 12, 13, 14, I thought, well, that's what everybody did. I go play 2-on-2 with Isaiah Thomas. I get a chance to go find Magic Johnson playing at St. Cecilia and talk about being a point guard. So I go back and thank those guys tremendously. The Earl Curitons who took times, the Terry Durods. These are guys that played at a professional level, or even the guys at Antoine Jobert. They took time to give back to the younger generations on teaching them how to play the right way, and they didn't charge a fee. It was free.
Right.
So I think right now is if we can all give back for free the knowledge that we got versus being something that you're making money off youth, which is totally dead wrong in my opinion.
That's the thing. The thing that the difference is when we played, the people who were involved with us in AAU basketball, their hearts were pure. They wanted to just help the kids, teach the kids the right way. And back then, the high school coach a lot of times had the most influence, dealing with recruiting, all that kind of stuff. And you had people who were educators helping you along the way. Now, you don't have, not every situation has a Smitty or a James Forrest, like you mentioned. And so you got guys who really don't have their best interests at heart, who really have the most influence. And
They have their best interest at heart.
exactly.
Right.
But,
not the
what
players.
what I don't like either is, and I just see this now with kids, like, they don't just play pickup ball. They don't go to the park and play. It's either AAU ball or they're working on their skills. And to me, the importance of playing just, unstructured or organized or pickup basketball is you learn how to win. You learn, like, if you don't win, you sit. And nowadays,
get tired of sitting,
these
right?
AAU teams, you guaranteed to play a certain amount of games, regardless if you win or not. You can lose every game during that tournament, and you're guaranteed to play 6 games. And that's how they get you in there. And so to me, the emphasis is not on winning. It's on showcasing your own individual talent. And there's a lot of talent out there, and even, a lot of talent in the NBA, but not everybody necessarily knows how to win. I just think, that's a flawed part of the whole AAU model right now.
For me, my AAU coaches were extensions of my parents. And if you look right now, there's a large group of players that play that don't have fathers, a large group of players that don't have mothers. And so for me, they were an extension of my parents. Curtis Hervey, Mr. Montgomery, we had to study at their house. It was a situation where all my team was from a poor neighborhood. He told us about a school that was giving scholarships. He got us in the country day. He's the one that told the whole team, so whoever passed the test got in the country day, and if you didn't, you went to another school. That's what happened with our AAU team. So me going to country day, so I'm mad at him and my parents for putting me in this wonderful school where you're learning, you're educated, you're eating good lunches, and I'm mad because I want to keep it real and play somewhere else. But that was my AAU coach. So even the fact that he knew he had our hearts and he was going to give us to this high school coach, and they even let him have the success because it was our AAU team that was winning. The high school was nothing before we got there. And so it was an empowerment. It was, they were at the draft party. I had to beg them to come. Now I see guys, they've never been to a party with me. I see guys at, the party with the AAU coach, or I see now the AAU coach being an extension of their boys.
Yes.
And that's the problem because of the discipline and everything else. And my parents, would say, you're not going to play if you don't get good grades. But it was bad because Harvard and them would say, well, you're really not going to play. We don't care what your parents say. They were on the same page. You could not play one against the other. And then the last point is, our AAU team, we won a championship our last year. We beat Penny Hardaway. Their team is 1 year older than us. It's the first game ever in this new arena in Orlando. And we cried after because every year at AAU, we had to play Steve Smith. I had to check Derek Coleman at 15. He's dunking on me. No, it's the most embarrassing. For years, we never got accolades. Like, people would clap and cry for us because we were the team crying because we got beat by older kids, and really we could beat someone our age. So it was all about making us men tough. And we even got to drive on some AAU trips. Shouldn't say that, but it was more like being a Boy Scout, more like being in a man camp and being a man. Because he would say, some of you guys aren't going to make it. Can you have this same confidence in this? And some of you guys are going to do this. What is it now? It was always a life lesson. I remember my AAU coach sitting me up in the stands because we were looking at girls. So during the game at St. Cecilia, he's like, oh, y'all like it? Y'all go sit up in the stands. He made our whole team sit up there and let the scrubs play. But it was lessons, you know what I mean? It was life lessons, and I just love that type of thing, you know.
Well, I'll try to wrap it all up and just say the history, and there's been slippage as we continue to go from generation to generation. And I'll wrap it up and sum it up this way. The educators used to volunteer to be coaches. And they would teach life lessons. And it started with this.
Yeah.
You play as you live. You play as you live. You live right.
Yeah.
You play right.
Awesome discussion. Great points by all. And an exclamation point for the ages right there. Great stuff. Back with more in a second.
Sally is a guy who has theme music when he walks in. So when Sally would walk in, we would all say, John Sally. That's what I just said. John Sally.
Back here on Open Court, it's Grant Hill's segment, and his question is, who is your funniest teammate?
Yeah,
It's your topic, so
lighten the mood a little bit. But, you know, you play long. I played 19 years. Oof. You come across a lot of characters. A lot of years. But, you know, for me, hands down, it was Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, most of the stories I can't repeat most of the stories. But, I mean, every day, I think he literally would come to practice every day thinking of how can I make everybody laugh. And but
did it actually make you laugh, or did it just make you shake your head?
A little bit of both. But I mean, Shaq. I remember one time we getting ready to play a big game against Dallas. As a matter of fact, I think it was a TNT game. We're fighting for playoff position, and after the pregame meeting, you know, I go in the bathroom, I come out, and Gordon Girachek is laid out on the floor. And, like, the trainers are, like, trying to wake him up, you know. Shaq choked him out. Like, 18 minutes on the clock, we're getting ready to go out to play, and Shaq, like, put him in the sleeper hold because he was talking too much. He was talking trash to Shaq. So Shaq...
That's one funny
He's not here to defend himself, Shaq. But I mean, it was like, bully. G Hill, I told him don't mess with me, G Hill. I told him.
I think if you ask Gordon Girachek right now, your funniest teammate, Shaq wouldn't be the answer that comes up.
Scary. Oh, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. I guess it wasn't funny then.
Was there a funny bad boy?
Oh, yes.
22.
Yes.
John Sally.
I'd almost forgotten.
Yes.
I'd almost forgotten.
Comedian.
Oh, man.
John Sally was, he really was a comedian. He would write jokes, and then he would go and perform them. And so I remember Adrian Danley, right? He said, Sally is a guy who has theme music when he walks in. So when Sally would walk in, we would all say, John Sally. That's what I just said. John Sally.
See who's your best. Who's your funniest?
Two people just come to mind. One is George Mirasan. Because George Mirasan, man, he's the best, but, you know, he used the bathroom before the games. So George had everybody scared to use the bathroom because he was 7'6" and could look over the stall. So he be looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, man, come on, George. Or you just feel like water dripping.
See, Webb, that's not funny.
No, it's not. You feel like water dripping and he's just holding the ice cube. So think about it. If he's holding the ice cube, when did the ice cube start melting? has he been here watching me 10 minutes? And so it was George Will's time, but with hands down, my man Jay Will. Like, Jay Will is one of the closest players I've ever been with because in Sacramento, I did not want to be there. And so my very first practice, my mom is giving me scriptures. Oh, this is going to be a blessing. I'm like, Mom, please, I don't have enough time for that positive stuff. She's like, oh, it's just going to be a blessing. And I remember after the first practice, I was like, called, I was like, you're right. Because Jay Will was just funny and appropriate. And so, you know how you make your rookies do everything?
Right.
It wasn't even fun. I'm like, Jay Will, we landed in New York. I'm like, man, you got to get off the bus. It's snowing. Only in your tights. Yeah. Go in and scream, who let the dogs out and pay for it? He would do whatever. And so one trip, we coming in Boston. It's a snowstorm. We would make him do all the things. And I was like, he was like, if I do one thing, you know, can I be off? We were like, yeah, whatever. So we get in Boston. I'm just listening to headphones. It's cold. It's freezing. And we're like, yeah, you know, what's going on? We get to the hotel. Everybody's checking in. Everybody's like, where's Jason? And we really can't find him. It's about maybe 3-4 minutes. And one of the ball boy goes, and we looked under the bus, picked up the thing under the bus. He's laying on the luggage up on the bus.
Yes.
And he was like, what are you doing? He was like, I ain't want to ride with y'all bitches up here. And he was just sitting, and he's just laying, posing, and he's ridden from the, listen, he's ridden from the airport. Do you understand?
Yes.
He's our starting point guard, man.
Yes.
What if he would have fell out on the freeway? What if he would have frozen up under? There's no heat up under. But he was the type of guy that always wanted to shock and was always funny and always had some funny words. And he's just funny all the time, so you can't remember 1 or 2, 3 instances, but Jay Will, man.
The next couple of minutes, you guys can split this time, 3D and Smitty.
Well, you know what? Glenn Rice was one of the funniest players I played with. Talking about joking. But I would say the guy that just shocked you, Ken Norman.
Yeah.
Ken Norman. Snake.
He ain't seen funny. Funny?
Different funny. So I'll give you 2 of them. Our general manager, Pete Babcock, wore some bad shoes. So he used to always say, Pete Babcock, do those come in leather? And Pete would say, you got leather. And we both got leather.
I love that.
And then the last time, Lenny wasn't playing him, and we were playing the Chicago Bulls. And him, being him from Chicago,
Right.
he used to go, ooh, Michael Jordan's going to be jumping high. And I got the best seat, Smitty. And, ooh, Lenny. And if you want to see what Lenny broke the record, all-time wins.
I know where you're going.
He's cheesing with Lenny. Ken Norman by far. He used to always say, Smitty.
George, go to George.
I talked to Juanita. He's going to get 50.
His wife said, you gonna get it. That's good.
Oh, man.
That's mean, too.
Oh, man. I have to go with Grant. Yeah. And it's
Shaq.
from day one. Yeah, from day one when he got to Orlando.
Ping, ping, ping. Baseline fade away like Bernard King.
Best trip, I guess, the safest story I can tell.
Safest.
We're in South Dakota playing Detroit. I think we might have been playing y'all. Or, yeah, I think we might have been playing Detroit. I forget who we were playing. Anyway, snow on the ground. And next thing you know, you hear all this commotion. Shaq went to a local store, put on one of those Confederate hats, and is marching in front of the, talking about Ted Hutt, hey, South Dakota. We're like, what is he doing? 20 minutes later, half the town's in front of the hotel.
Yeah.
So that's when I knew that this guy right here, everywhere we went from there forward, we called him the Pied Piper, because he figured out something to do to create the hype. So I have to agree with Grant, my funniest teammate.
The funniest teammates, and obviously funny not always meaning ha-ha. Back with just downright weird from time to time. We'll be back with more here on Open Court in just a second.
The Celtics, they're rebuilding right now, but you never hear them talk about changing the culture. The culture is established, and the culture is about winning
The
championships.
Pistons killed me when they said they're going to change the culture.
Open Court continues, and the panelists select the topics for each segment. Isaiah, I just got yours boiled down to money or the ring. Explain.
When I look at a lot of players that are playing, it's hard for me to determine if they really playing for the ring or if it's for the money and the lifestyle. And I just want to know what your thoughts are.
Fire away, y'all. Grant, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm not that far removed, and so I would say that there's probably a small minority that are playing to win. I think a lot of guys may say or think that they're playing to win, but I think playing to win is backed up by your actions. It's backed up by your habits, your professionalism. And I'd say, I'd say a lot of guys just like the lifestyle. I mean, I think, there's a lot of money. You're playing at the ultimate level. But
Is that disappointing to you?
Very.
And when you say that's a small minority that are playing to win.
Yeah.
Well, when we say win, we say for the championship.
For a championship.
Trying to win.
because
or playing the right way, too.
Because
Well,
we can say right now, there's really only 4 or 5 teams
Right.
that we can single out and say these guys are really trying to win the championship this year. Then there are a lot of teams, there are a lot of players, coaches, organizations that are saying it ain't that important to us. Like I saw you cry in college. You still salty about Sacramento, LA.
Everything.
Okay, in terms of you was putting it on the
Everything.
line trying to get it.
Got to see a psychiatrist after the show for it.
Okay. no, really. Both of you, right? You was in the finals.
Yep.
Didn't get cried. Everything else. Yourself. Okay. I heard you talk about you and Kevin Willis being from Detroit, winning with San Antonio, and both of y'all crying, hugging, so forth and so on. Right?
Right.
You're chasing it since you was this big. Not the money, but the ring. How many guys right now are chasing the championship
The
ring?
culture's changed. I think the culture's changed. So when I came in the league, we didn't need a dress code because I was trying to dress like Dominique and Zeke. Like, you're closer to that lineage. And, it's almost like you have a male dog. He doesn't know to lift his leg to pee till he sees another dog doing it. When I saw them, I wanted to be like that. And so when LeBron chose to go play in Miami, it was against everything that ever was in me, because when I played and had the chance to go play with a Tim Duncan, I didn't want to do it because it was a culture of, I can't join your bandwagon and win a championship. It's better to lose and go off like they did, because it's the culture. It doesn't mean right or wrong, only the timing. But it's better to lose 1 against 1 than to go just buddy-buddy. I talked to Jerry West one time, and it was one of the best conversations. I'm talking to him, Mr. West, the media, and we're just talking. He's like, what? He's like, the media. And I know we all party, like, the media. He's like, they call me Mr. Clutch. I said, yes, sir, of course. He said, I lost 9 championships. And I knew that, but he had to tell me that. And he's like, I remember. I was just as good when I won 1 or none. So it doesn't matter about my wins or losses, Chris. It matters about who I am. And so when we talk about the culture, I don't think it's enough history passed down for the culture, Zeke, for them to know how to want to win in the midst of being traded, how to want to win in the midst of being on a bad team. How do you want to win if you don't see examples of that, because we only show the examples of the 2 or 3 teams that win? So I don't think it's that many players in the culture that want to win come hell or high water, because I don't know if that example, I think, has been lost in translation.
Zeke, and I'm going to take it a step further. Great question for the players. And I will go with Grant. I would say it's fewer as we keep going generation to generation. And I also would say it's because there's a lot of coaches in organization. I have never heard the word tanking till the last 3 or 4 years. I mean,
It's the culture now.
I'm looking at the Boston Celtics right now, to this day. They are revamping, but they're still competing.
Yeah. Hard.
Winning.
Playing hard.
Playing hard.
Yeah.
Some of these other organizations, I don't understand how you can go out there and basically have this culture and not say it out loud and don't like anybody saying tanking, where you're going out and losing games year after year. It should be a penalty, because as a fan, there's hardworking people paying their buck to come watch you compete. I can give a standing ovation to youth, college, pro, for guys going out there and lost, as you know, and you I know, and say they went out and competed.
Yeah.
To piggyback what you said, Smitty, too, the Celtics, they're rebuilding right now. But you never hear them talk about changing the culture. The culture is established, and the culture is about winning
The
championships.
Pistons killed me when they said they're going to change the culture.
That's when they went.
No,
That's when they went to the ugly. But see, that wasn't the Pistons. Well, it was the Pistons.
It was
but see,
marketing.
Zeke, it's the
Forgive me,
PR.
it just came out. I'm
But
sorry.
you're right,
No,
though.
hey.
That's what I'm saying, Zeke. What's being taught to us? So when y'all played, when you hurt your ankle, scored 44, you came home, it was a parade, and all of Detroit took pride in, we'll never be as big as Hollywood. We don't have Jack Nixon, them, but you know what? We won because we okay. We got Isaiah, and we would rather be ourselves than be you. And it's turned into a culture where we'd rather be whoever win. That's why I hate, like, okay, the Knicks are bad, but it's the NBA is not just through New York. Everybody has the right to win, and I think that the culture has made it so that if you're not a winner, or if we didn't put you on the now you can win however you want to. Now you could have been the man, sit on the bench for 50 games, win a championship, and you're still a champion. And there's guys that are trying to do that too. So it's like, I think the culture from the grassroots, like Grant said, with those coaches saying, the educators saying, this is how you win. In other words, I don't have to cheat you. If I lose to a better player, I held my head, I wasn't a punk, I still really won that night. That's not in there no more. It's about how many big the commercials, or what I could do, how smooth I am going to the game. Am I on the video game cover? Because that's the smoke and mirrors, because people really gonna think I could play because I'm on this cover, as opposed to busting somebody's butt every night.
And that's where I'm at. So the money and the lifestyle is chased, socially rewarded, and accepted more so than winning. Is it worth more than the ring?
Oh yeah, it's worth more.
A couple of things stand out. That's a great point. Number one, I was actually scared when I saw Isaiah's face when he brought up the changing culture in Detroit.
That's because culture.
Well, there it is again.
It is a really big word.
Yeah.
And we in Detroit fought hard to establish.
Oh, they did that
the
somewhere
culture.
else, yeah.
You can change the players.
Change it back. Change the coaching back.
You can change the uniform, but when you talk about changing the culture means your habits, your traditions, your beliefs.
The respect.
Okay? The things that we celebrate.
Exactly.
Okay? When you start talking about changing those four things.
I would have loved to be your power forward, Zeke. I'm telling you, hey, Zeke, I would have played with you, baby. I'd have ran through a wall for you, dog. Let's go play
You
some
can't
football.
change that. You can change the plays. You can change the system. Don't mess with the Detroit Pistons.
All right, okay. And the second thing that stood out about that statement was I had no idea that dog had to see another dog before he knew the race was
Oh, yeah, my dog. I had a boy dog. He won't lift his leg. I was like, man, lift your leg.
From this show.
Somebody else brought their dog around. He lifted. Oh, he gets it.
I
Man, my
learned
dog was
something
slow.
every time we do this.
My dog's name is Zeke, too. How about that? I smell everything I love.
And it comes full
promise you.
circle. We'll be back.
I understand sometimes guys got pregame routine, go to the restroom, chow, whatever. I'm about to do jump ball. I said, where the heck is Ronnie Cycli? Man, nobody go to the bathroom that long. Assistant coach said, Ronnie's been traded. I said, what? The fight before the game? Doing warm-ups?
We welcome you back to Open Court. This last segment is kind of a combined Chris Webber and Steve Smith category. When you're traded, and I think we can dovetail this into when you change location, when you change teams. And the only person who really hasn't changed teams is Isaiah. So this, I think, was an attempt by C. Webb and Smitty just to exclude Isaiah from the conversation, but you're welcome to listen to it. So what is it like, Smitty, when you're traded?
You know, Isaiah will be able to talk because he saw guys being traded. I think for me, and people don't know the behind the scenes of being traded sometime. I was with the Miami Heat. Me and Grant Long had just got finished playing the Phoenix Suns, and we were on the runway with the team playing.
Yeah, tell us.
And it was going, and it stopped. So I said, ooh, we're having some problems.
Steve, it ain't stopped like that. It was going fast. It was like,
yeah,
he got a phone call like, hold
and
on.
it stopped, and the general manager said, Grant Long and Steve Smith, can you come here? I said, yes. What's the captains, what's going on? Y'all been traded. So that's my first time being traded, Isaiah, but in that matter.
No warning, just the plane
We had just got finished with West Coast trip because I was playing with the Miami.
That's wrong.
We were going back to Miami. We were finished with the West Coast trip. Atlanta was just starting their West Coast trip in Phoenix. So to talk about how the hurt, I had to go get my bags out of the belly of the plane, and me and Grant was like, why am I trading with you? What you doing to mess us up? And people don't understand, my car is still at the airport.
You got to call people.
I don't have any clothes
Cold.
other than what we brought, and that plane takes back off. And
You sitting there looking at it like,
so
oh.
I'm saying that hurt. And I think also the second one for me, when I got traded from Portland to San Antonio, when I had just asked management, not ownership. Paul Allen was a great owner. I heard I'm getting traded. I just want to know because I want to buy a house and get established. And they said, no, you good.
You ain't bought a house.
And then I was traded to San Antonio. So just people understand, it's a business.
It's a business.
Yeah.
It's a business as well.
And my crazy trade story is we're in warm-ups in Toronto and warm-up get together, and Ronnie Cycling runs into the bathroom. And Ronnie Cycling, he come back, we're like, hey, get ready to start. I said, I understand sometimes guys got pregame routine, you go to the restroom, shower, whatever. Now about to do jump ball, I said, where the heck is Ronnie Cycling? Man, nobody's gonna go to the bathroom that long. Assistant coach said, Ronnie's been traded. I said, what? The fight before the game? Doing warm-ups? Yes, in warm-up. I was like, oh, man. Then a few months go by. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there, and you're talking to your point to me. You're talking up a man, how things are good, D, everything's good. My agent calls me. What's up? Yeah, you're on your way to Dallas. I said, huh? I just talked to man. They said we good. No, you go for Derek Harper and Ed O'Bannon. Pack your bags. Man, no way. Get to practice. Hey, D, thank you for your services, man. You've been great, man. I'm like, man, let go of me, man. You told me you liked me, man. You had me to... So that's the toughest part about the business of our game is that you build these relationships with the general manager, the coaches, the people in the arena, the people who park our cars, and then when you get that call or that pink slip and say, hey, see you later, you're no longer this family, it hurts at first because that's all you know. For me, I was in Orlando the first 7 years. So that's all I knew, Orlando, and then now I get shipped off to Dallas.
See, Webb?
The trade that hurt me the most is when I wasn't traded. It's when Doug Christie was traded. I'll tell you why. Maybe you guys are going through this. But a lot of times guys on the team know the players way better than the coaches and the management. And I knew that if it wasn't for Doug Christie, we would not get far. Not because of on the court anything. We needed to pay him just for how hard he practiced. He held us to a different standard, he and Mateen Cleaver. So Doug Christie got traded. And that trade affected me more than me getting traded because I knew in my head, though I didn't want to admit it, that was my last time ever to compete for a championship. We had just come off playing the Lakers. He had fought Rick Fox. We had them. We ready to go. He's a double. He double teams. He's heart and soul. So any other flashy stuff on our team, okay, we can do that because he's the heart and soul of defense, and he's the one there guarding Kobe, 44. Right in his face, Kobe can give it to him, but every play he's there. And when he got traded and we didn't have we have been building all year. I'm passing out books. We're talking. We're in such a mind frame. We're a family that if anything happens to this fragile relationship, we're done. And when management traded it and didn't tell us why, didn't speak to us and bring us in the room like they did with everything else, and we didn't address our brother getting gone and being left, it was over. Yeah. He made me commit to staying here, fighting in this little small town, no soul food, ain't no black people. This is weird to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I buy in and see how great, the wonderful the people are in Sacramento. You know, he helped tie me to that community. I love Sacramento forever because he helped tie us there. And you see those fans with the cowbells. Like, it was like he was one of them. It was just that sincerity. And so when one guy leaves a team, it could be that damaging because it takes everything out of everybody else.
Grant and Isaiah, speak to the dynamic that goes on a team when somebody who is well-respected is traded, or you have somebody that you bring on that maybe you have doubts about. Oh, we traded for that guy. Oh, man. Oh, so how does that all work?
The only situation that we ever experienced like that in Detroit that I felt that was really controversial was the Adrian Dantley, Mark Aguirre trade.
Right.
And I had known Mark Aguirre for a while. I knew the type of team and system organization that we had. When we made the trade, publicly it was viewed as kind of risky. But the policing, the culture, the organization that we had, I knew we would be able to handle it. So that wasn't a problem.
I think we've all experienced it, either being traded or knowing somebody who's been traded. And I think, you know, what people don't know at home, what fans don't know, or as Chris said, sometimes even our own general managers don't know, is the bond and the sense of family in that locker room. Yeah. And there's a brotherhood that's really, it's hard to describe. You spend every day in practice, on planes, you know, going to dinner on the road. There's a fraternity that when someone's traded, instantly that relationship with that person changes. Mm-hmm. Instantly, no longer do you see them every day. And so it's people may say, Doug Christie, okay, we got somebody in return who's better, who scores better, but it doesn't fit always. Sometimes it does fit, but a lot of times it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of fans, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know that until you said that. Yeah. But like, what goes on in that locker room and the dynamics and the relationships and the roles, I think is hugely important to the success of a team. And it can either get you over the hump, like maybe Aguirre did in Detroit, or it could, you know, make you go the other way.
Yeah. Or she, to my opinion, Rasheed, when I think of big trades, I think of him coming over, everybody. He's another, you know, misunderstood guy. When he got traded from us in his first game, he got a technical, and I was his big fella. Well, and he was like, I'm going to get technicals my career. And I said, okay, as your big fella, I'm going to let you get them, but you can't get kicked out.
Well, that's where relationship comes, Ernie, because Joe talked to me that he wanted to make that trade for Rasheed. Yeah. And obviously, the outside people don't understand. I said, Joe, I played with him. The best teammate I've ever had.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the perception.
But the best teammate I've ever had.
Dennis
Fellas.
Rodman, Bill Laimbeer.
Well,
there you go.
I love Shaq, but he messed us up in Phoenix. Hold on. Wait. We got the old Shaq.
On that note, we wrap it up, fellas.